In this video, I'm going to show you how to do a bit of research on the crypto world so you can find those projects before they blast off to the moon. Now, before we jump into this, I'm going to preface this that this isn't necessarily some standard way to go about it. Your research is really up to you and would be best decided by use case trial and error. Actually go out there and try and find the resources that you like best. But for me, I have found this being a very useful tool as far as keeping in touch with it in a sort of passive way where it's more of a feed where I'm given results and allowed to kind of scroll through it and kind of absorb information. And if I want a deep dive, I can go into a deeper dive from that sort of macro view at the top there. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to jump over to the screen, and I'm actually going to show you the place I generally start as, again, macro scale, looking at the whole sort of space. So looking at the crypto space, CoinMarketCap is a great website that you should be looking at and using very regularly if you want to check prices or kind of see where new coins are being listed. And generally also just to look at the top 10, top 20 coins and where they sit. And as you can see here, we got a nice little list. We're taken to the home page. We're showing a little list. You can click on the price action over here on the right and dive into a little bit of a synopsis of each one. It's got some information about it, a little bit of news, some other marketplaces, some actual dexes where these are exchanged, so you can see where you could actually go buy some. So this actually gives you a lot of resource. Up here, it's actually got the information on the organizations and quite often the white paper, which is the basis for the fundamentals for the cryptography and a lot of the protocols and what they're trying to accomplish. So it's a really cool place to go. And I will say this, that coming back to it later, I use this a lot as a launch pad to go check into new things because there's a lot of hackers out there. So you want to be careful when it comes to just blindly clicking on links when we get to some of the next avenues of finding resource like information. Just clicking on links and start going down a rabbit hole can get you into trouble. So if I like a ticker, say Matic, Polygon's network, I'm going to jump back here and go to its website from here. But this is, again, a really good place to sort of view everything on a macro scale. And what I really like about it is that as far as a launch pad, it gives you these categories here at the top. So you can kind of start to dive in, and you do have a bunch of customization. You can add watch lists, you can sign in and add all these watch lists and stuff. I really look at it from a broad perspective. And the only other thing I really like to play around with is the Metaverse, which I'm super interested right now. And so for instance, you can click on this, and it will take you the list of the Metaverse coins, basically games in this industry, all in the gaming and NFT space. Obviously NFT directly is right there, but this is mostly games, video games that are coming out in the crypto space. And I'm really interested to sort of keep an eye on this. And so for me, I can look at it and go something like, Sandbox, which is a really great project. They just had an alpha release. I can click on it again, look at the price action, which is usually the first thing I'll do to sort of see what it's been doing over the, I don't want to do that, but to sort of make sure it's like kind of in line with Bitcoin. This is sort of where we had our peak for Bitcoin was about the 1108. So that means they had a little bit of a delay, which is all altcoins. All altcoins have a delay after Bitcoin. So, but from here, if I want to go look into it more, quite often, like I said, I will just, I'll jump over to, I'll hit Control and access its website. From there, knowing that that link is redirecting me to a place that I don't mind going to, as opposed to just a blind link that someone posts somewhere, which, don't get me wrong, sometimes you click on those, but there's a time and a place to be able to do that. I can look into more information I want on it too. Again, there's a lot more information right here, but this is a really good place to start with crypto research or broad picture space to look at the markets as a whole, maybe just check in, see what they're doing. Again, going back to the overview of CoinMarketCap, I can just glance at this and see the market's down, right? Very easy. So that's the first place I start. From there, in order to kind of find new ones, because this list is huge, right? Like look, we go down here, we're down to 100 out of 90 pages. So you're not gonna go through all 90 pages. How do you keep on top of that information and see what people are buzzing about? And the way I look at it is from the perspective of what's the talk, what people are excited about and what they're talking about, because certain projects will have really, really great fundamentals and really good basis behind it, really good project directors, but it doesn't mean people are super excited about it. The use cases might be there, but still you need people to be excited. You need some marketing behind it, and you do need a good community behind it. So what I would say my next, I'm gonna close this tab. The next thing I usually like to keep a feed on is Reddit. So if you're new to Reddit, this is the social media platform for deep diving, right? It's not like your Instagram, Facebook, YouTube even, any of these as far as how you get it. They do have a feed style, which is kind of like Facebook, but generally you subscribe to communities, which are and if we look here, r/ in the community. So I can type Reddit and then I can go /r/DeFi. And it takes me to the subreddit. So essentially what it does is it's little forums where people just post in their little worlds, and you open these doors. You just go into each room and decide what you want to receive your feed on, kind of like following hashtags on Instagram, right? So this is what you would be looking at. So if I go back to my home, where I usually start will be my home, and I've subscribed to several different, investing in personal finance and crypto versions of communities that I am interested in. And then from there, I just start scrolling down and start looking at it. And you can see, like, the first one here, I've got on here, there's a post that comes up, is DeFi, which is the subreddit DeFi, which is a great one. I think this one's got a lot of really smart, intelligent conversations about DeFi and it as a whole. Again, specifically decentralized finance, but I really like that one. Crypto Moonshots, this one gets a little more wild. It's more memey. It's a little more like Wall Street bets in a sense that people are just like out there trying to kind of speculate wildly, but it's a good place to sort of see. And what you can do is, as you're going down through it, is you can just get a feel for what's going on in the markets and what you're seeing, and things. I follow a few other ones like Wall Street Bets, which is a really interesting one to kind of keep abreast of because they're just wild over there. Investing, Reddit investing. I do follow personal finance, DeFi, day trading. I got a lot of different ones that I like to follow in there. And so by scrolling down, I just generally give myself an idea of what people are talking about, but they also go into deeper parts of conversations. And you can click on each one and you can come in here and you can chime in. And sometimes it's really useful to actually chime in and ask further questions. The communities are generally very helpful here in Reddit. I find it very useful. I do like it quite a lot for learning more as kind of even a hands-on way of doing it. The suggested Reddits that I would suggest for you would be DeFi. I would definitely follow DeFi as its own. I would also follow cryptocurrency subreddit. This one's also really important if you want to stay on top of things. People just talking about it all the time. There is a bunch of FUD and a bunch of nonsense in here too. You have to take it with a grain of salt, but cryptocurrency.com is a great one to also stick with. But then you also have, if you have a particular protocol in mind, so let's use Matic for example, Matic Network like Polygon, which is a crypto project, pretty good one. You can come in here and actually look at their subreddit, and they have one that actually has, so we've actually got one to move. They've actually moved it, at Polygon. I don't need to join it right now. I don't need to keep abreast of this one, but you can jump in, and if you're really interested in Polygon, you can jump it and join into its individual subreddits here, so you can really stay up to its news and all that sort of stuff. But when it comes to the news and when it comes to subscribing to individual sort of entities and businesses outside of just people in sort of general forum talk, that's where I like to go to my next space for research, and that is Twitter. So these are both very wordy based social media platforms. So if you're not much into words, you're not much into reading, it might be a little tougher. Granted, the first one I got here does have a picture in it, so they do have pictures, they do have videos, but the conversations are very much so about how you would want to learn about this sort of stuff. And like, let's read this first one. So a thing I've been watching a lot is UST on the Terra network. And so I follow this guy, Harry at UST, and he's kind of talking about how there's a really promising option for getting 100% auto compounding and 98% on the APY on the Apollo, which is a whole other new DAO that is on the Terra network where you could stake your money and generate 104%. And he's actually claiming here that potentially you could get up to 270% if you did compounding of some capacity. That's an interesting prospect. Do you want to know more? Probably, right? Now I've just learned about that, right? So that's something I would probably dive into, maybe click into it and actually look at the tweets, if there's any down here, if I actually have any people commenting on it, which doesn't look like there's any now. but you can see, oh, right here. So you can see we've got a few of these. I usually do this on the phone, to be honest, so I'm not 100% on the interface as the on the computer, but just start scrolling down and see the conversation that's taking place and see if there is, oh, that's ridiculous, it doesn't work. Like if a bunch of people are talking about it as a bad idea, it's a really good way to kind of tell if that person was also just lying, you know what I mean? So it's an easy way to kind of start following stuff. And the cool thing with Twitter is that it really is an interesting one with its feed, where it is just like a bunch of people screaming into the void, right? They're just yelling stuff out and hopefully people are listening. But what you'll get is that the way it's actually set up is, obviously this is someone retweeting this, which is they're trying to like promote this sort of thing. You will get ads in between, but you'll just find that you'll start clicking on following people that maybe you had an interesting topic. You don't have to dig into it too deep, but sometimes you just click on their profile. The Winklevoss Twins, these guys are huge in DeFi. They own Gemini, and they own Gemini, but they're the big investors in Gemini. I'm pretty sure they own it. But you'll click on them, and then it also gives you a suggested group of people to follow, of which a lot of these people I actually do follow here, and it would be here. And you could click on that, and you could start looking into who they follow. And if they're influential people, you might be interested in who they do follow. But there's a lot. You can see I'm actually following quite a lot of these people already, or it's already showing me the people I do follow. It allows you to kind of deep dive into it if you want to, but at the same time, you can also stay back here at face value on your home feed and really just kind of scroll through. And what this does is gives you a general feedback from the market, right? And so it really just starts, what you start subscribing to, who you're listening to, you just start hearing the chatter. It is just kind of like being in a room and overhearing conversations. And if I want to dive a little deeper into a specific one, again, going back from CoinMarketCap, I might have picked, let's say DOT, let's pick DOT here. I'm going to put in DOT, which I can probably just put in as DOT, and because it would be most popular, it would understand what I'm talking about. But I could also do the $, which is the symbol for the ticker, which a lot of people, when they talk about things, will put the $sign before it in crypto. So you can start to see conversations about Polkadot and information all relating to and having sort of that tag inside of it. Here's someone's ready for a big move. This was on January 3rd. So it's like, do you believe him? You can dive into that if you want to. And it's an interesting way to start to see what people are talking about. So that's why I really like the Twitter. It's just one of those sort of interesting places to go and search for something that you are interested in and see what people are talking about. So you can do it on Reddit, where it's just kind of like a feed of like seeing what people are chatting about in communities. So kind of, it's like we start with CoinMarketCap, very macro. We're looking at the markets kind of like just like an overseeing lord, like, oh, here's everything. And you can dive into Reddit and go into communities. Now we're talking to a couple million people who are just interested in it. So we've narrowed it down to a group of people who just want to talk about it. And then we can come over to Twitter and start fine tuning that, or we can just kind of let it set up as a giant conversation piece, a scroll of conversations that as we're walking through this party, we're listening to conversations, and whatever piques our interest, we can dive deeper into. So that's why I do find those very useful, and you can see it's again very based on what other people are talking about. So I'm letting almost other people do the research for me, and then it's up to me how much more research I want to do after that. You do have to do your own research, and don't get me wrong, don't just follow blindly any tip or advice from this channel, those people, anywhere. Do definitely do your research. But if you start with something like this, a method like this, I think you will have it in no time, and you'll start to get out there to find projects. You'll start seeing what people are talking about, what they're interested about, and maybe even shying away from projects that you were gung-ho about, but you see communities are not gung-ho about, and realizing that the marketing's poor, or the community isn't there, or people just don't believe in the project. You might want to avoid it, because even if the fundamentals are good, it still doesn't mean it's gonna make money, which generally why you're investing in crypto is because you want to make money. Long term, if you want to hold in the project, you can do that too. That's a whole other conversation. But this is really just kind of to focus on it and see what investing power you can get out of it. So I hope that helped. If it did, leave a comment. Let me know if any of this was interesting. If you have any tactics within this, that would be a good way to go about it. I do have a couple of news resources that I should have chimed in here. I'm gonna put up this real quick. Cointelegraph is a really great spot for news if you really want to keep abreast of general news as if you were reading articles too. So I forgot to put this in here, and it's something I kind of wanted to chime into, but I kind of forgot as I was jumping into this video. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful, and let me know if within that strategy if you see anything that you would do differently or other ways that you would go about it. I'm always into learning new ways to figure out more about crypto and how to get deeper. So hope that was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.